Let's go.
What is going on, everybody? Raji the Rager here, and today I am here with The Last of Us Part 2 review. And I have to say, it's a perfect example why you shouldn't mix your own political beliefs in video games, any type of entertainment industry. I really wanted to like The Last of Us Part 2, but it's just a huge fucking mess. And this is a guy who loved the first game. I fell in love with it. They just took everything I loved about The Last of Us. Yeah, part one. I was gonna say part two. Well, just part one. The Last of Us, and just threw it into the fucking Atlantic. All right, man. While I don't hate the game, I'm going to say some pretty fucked up shit about it. So if you love The Last of Us Part Two a lot and hate heavy criticism, I suggest you view something else and just look at another review or whatever it is you like to look at. I don't know what you're into. That's you. And okay, no, I know people are probably hitting a comment section. No, it's not about Ellie being a lesbian. It's not about Abby having the shape of fucking Brock Lesnar. It's not about Lev being trans, although I think Neil was pushing his agenda too far with the kid being trans, but that doesn't matter. And it's not about Joel dying. Alright? It's not about none of that. Okay, before I get into the review though, I just want to talk about the review bombing because I'm a little mixed with this game. Although the game is disappointing, the game doesn't deserve all this hate. From the second it came out, the game was bombed with a bunch of zeros on Metacritic by people who just saw the leaks clearly. I seen this happen with two other games. Well, one of them that I liked. And this type of shit has do fucking stop. The Last of Us has its share of issues. The the leaks were bad, but don't just wait until the game gets released at midnight and completely shit on it. Don't take a dump on it when you clearly didn't play a lick of it. All right, that makes it even worse. That pisses me off even more. However, these critics that are giving it tens and nines are just as worse and are complete sellouts. Anyway, let's get into the story. The plot is completely rushed, dragged out, and has a lot of pacing issues. The Last of Us Part 2 takes place about 4 years after the event of the first game. If you played the first game, you know what happens, but I might wind up spoiling it in this review anyway. You play as Ellie now, and you're in Jackson, a part of Tommy's camp, Joel's younger brother, and you're a part of this huge community now. Things seem to be looking up. However, within the first hour of the game, things start to make a turn for the worse. You soon, for some reason, start playing as Abby, and as it turns out, she's after Joel for killing her dad, who has a doctor, who was a doctor, not has a doctor, for the Fireflies that was going to try to get the cure from Ellie through surgery, of which she wouldn't have survived. However, you see whichever side you're on in that regard, whatever, but I'm not going to get into that. The entire plot point was obviously just thrown in for a bullshit ass way for Abby's motive, if you ask me, and to make Joel look low key terrible. But that's just me right there. Anyway, a few hours later, Abby ends up getting chased by a group of runners and eventually gets saved by Joel and Tommy. After saving her, Tommy lets them know who they are, and in a nutshell, they jump and Abby kills Joel with a fucking golf club. Boom, four in front of Ellie's face. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not angry about Joel dying, but the way it happened was fucking stupid and it pisses me the fuck off, okay? Since when does Joel help a random survivor, alright? Since when, alright? Since when? I don't. Yeah, you guys might say, oh, he's a changed person. No, no, no. Joel has been around for years. He knows better than that, okay? And Tommy is a veteran survivor too. Why would the fuck he would spill his beings to his base to a group he's never seen before in his life? Give me a break. Moving on, Ellie and her girlfriend Dina embarks on a daring adventure to avenge Joel's death. When they get to the Seattle, they find themselves looking for Abby while in the middle of an ongoing war between Abby's world, the Wolves, and the Seraphites. I'm not gonna lie, The game at this point was at its highest potential, exploring Seattle, finding out Abby's motive, and uncovering the two groups are. I mean, two groups. My bad. Why the two groups are at each other's throats was really interesting. Both groups were nicely integrated and created. Were nicely integrated and both created. The wolves are like mercenaries, and seraphites are like an ancient cult. They have their own ways of tracking the enemies and even communicating. This is all great, but sadly it falls flat on its motherfucking face. As soon as they make you play as Abby. Alright? This is when the story starts to fall apart and become really, really uninteresting. I'm telling you, it's not good. From then on out, you play as Abby for 3 days on her point of view, and her boyfriend Owen needs to find Fireflies that are alive, although they're already in a huge group, and no one's seen a Firefly alive in years. Yeah, let that sink in. The reason why is because he killed his comrade Danny in a scuffle for showing mercy to a Seraphite, and now they are trying to get to Southern California before, I guess, Isaac, the leader, leader of the Fireflies, find out. I forgot if he found out or not, but I actually did. I actually forgot about it. Yeah, so it's been a while. Okay, so yeah, eventually, while Abby trying to get to Owen because Owen ran off, and she ends up getting captured by Seraphites. You guys probably seen the trailer for it. It's actually nicely done in game. She runs into Lev. Well, Lev runs into them. My mistake. And his sister, Alyssa, who were marked for death by the Seraphites for Lev being trans. Although they're Seraphites, Abby saves them, steals from her own group to help Mel heal Alyssa's arm and become this big sister to them. It sounds cool. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it sounds cool on paper, but what they did to it, the execution, I just felt they dragged it out, and I'm gonna be using that word constantly because they do that. Well, those two words, dragged it out. 3 words. Sorry, I suck at math. And constantly because I felt like they actually did that in a lot of areas of the story. And tried to make Abby win us over. But for me, Abby didn't win me over. All right. Fast forward, Lev ran away to try to come to terms with his mother, and Alyssa, you and Abby go to the Seraphites village to go get him. He had to kill his mother because she tried to kill him for religious purposes. Then Alyssa ends up getting killed by wolves. You also just end up having to kill everyone, even your own group, because it's an all-out turf war. Not turf war, an all-out war between the wolves and the Seraphites. The Seraphites are after Lev because he's trans, and the wolves are after Abby because she's protecting Lev. The war was nicely done. The whole village engulfed in flames made it look like an abomination of hell. I actually loved that part, honestly. That was pretty good. Yeah. And both sides were just going in on each other. Bam, boom, shooting each other. You can sneak past them, but yeah, I suggest you do it really quick before they spot you. Then you're going to have to fight them off. Okay, but once Abby gets back with Lev and everything, she finds her friends, Owen and Mel, slaughtered, as well as the dog. I forgot the dog's name. So she goes after Ellie. Yeah, Ellie did that. I left that part out, but yeah, you play as Ellie on that particular day from her point of view. She was looking for Abby, and Owen and Mel tried some fuck shit, and they both got killed by Tommy and Ellie. Alright, okay, but anyway, she goes after Ellie. The game requires you, for some stupid fucking reason, to play as Abby and take on Ellie. Which I said is pretty fucking stupid considering this story was supposed to be about Ellie. Ellie is supposed to be the main protagonist. I don't understand this. This game is confusing me. After a rough battle fighting Ellie, and trust me, it was rough. She kicked my fucking ass. It was not easy. I died a few times. Abby wins and decides to spare all of them, due to Lev telling her not to. I mean, okay. After months passed, her and Dana has a child. Well, Dana was, the one that was pregnant, and they settled down on a ranch. Although the story was poorly written, they could have just ended it here. Yeah, Naughty Dog could have just stopped it, ended it here, but Neil was, written the story, was directing it. I don't know why they hired this guy because he just dragged it out even further. Although it was bad enough to begin with, he decided to just keep going with it. And it honestly, the epilogue made Ellie look like a deranged PTSD psychopath. I am not going to ruin the epilogue and ending because I said enough about the story, but it's like taking a tube of fucking alcohol and dumping it on a deep cut. You think it's cleaning it and healing it, but it's actually making it way worse. I mean, come on. I was honestly wanted the game to end at that point because it was already been 23 hours and it felt like they just put that part out the last minute in their story's development cycle. And yeah, it was just a mess. But yeah, play it. Go look it on YouTube. Look it up on my stream. You'll see what I'm talking about. Moving on to characters. Let me just summarize it in a few sentences. Alright. Most of the characters are just bland and underdeveloped, if you ask me. The only people I cared about were Ellie, Joe, Tommy, Dina, and Lev. Jesse just died too quick for me to bond with him. Alyssa, Mel, Manny, and Owen weren't that interesting, and the game tries so hard to make you like Abby for some reason. But every time I try to understand where she's coming from, or every time I try to like her, she does something that makes me hate her. And Isaac, the leader of the Wolves, was so underused. He could have been a good boss fight for Abby. He could have been a good boss fight for Abby instead of the big guy that swings around the axe at the end. Or whatever. He was just used in 2 cutscenes. Yeah, he would have been a great villain. I don't know. Come on. He would have been good. Although the game has its cons, it also has its pros. Graphically, this game is drop dead motherfucking gorgeous. From the opening scene, all details are on point. The facial animations look so fucking real. It's by far the best facial animations I've seen in video games. Okay, maybe I don't think I'm over exaggerating. I can't think of a game that had better facial an- I mean facial animations. And I played a lot of games. Like at first glance you would think it's a fucking movie. The graphic designers worked their asses off all the way down to their fucking rolly chairs, and I applaud them for it. Well done. Those graphics were badass. The acting is well done too. Like I said, movie status, right? People now keep saying, "Oh, the games are a bit too cinematic now. They feel more like movies." No, keep the voice. I mean, don't make the gameplay like a movie. I mean, too much like a movie. That's weird unless it's completely interactive. But make the voice acting, the storyline, graphically, make it look like that. Make it look like that. I wish more games would do that. Yeah, that was awesome right there. The acting, yeah, well, I already talked about the acting. My bad. Reading over the same line. The combat and enemies don't excel much from its predecessors, but they're on point. Yeah, they're on point, and they can be rough. Yeah, they can be rough. Yeah, the combat And the enemy, the combat is so greatly executed. It's like you're looking at cutscenes, but it's official gameplay. The humans tend to catch on real quick, and if you fuck up, well, watch your ass. I had to learn that the hard way many times. Now, the infected are rough and are just scary as hell. You know, the runners that are deadly hordes. Well, the runners that are deadly in hordes, clickers that are blind but can easily kill you within one grab and use echolocation to see who's in front of them. Bloaters that are huge but fast throw those huge balls of toxins and can kill you if you get too close. Stalkers are a lot more dangerous in this game. They're hard to take out hand to hand and you can't hear them at all. There are a few new enemies like Shamblers that shoot out deadly spores, and this deformed creature that is a combination of all monsters, which almost made me break my controller. That was a hard battle. But after the fight, the Stalker that fell off of it was even more infuriating. I died like nearly 10 times because the Stalker wouldn't die. Keep in mind that Stalkers aren't supposed to be bosses. I was using every weapon I had. It would not go down. I mean, incendiary shells, my pistols, my revolver, my flamethrower, my pipe bombs, everything was not working. I mean, honestly, I thought the game was having a game-breaking glitch, but it eventually died. But that was just poorly done. As far as polished game, works really well. The controls are responsive, the gameplay is smooth. There are no issues with the game mechanics, and only counted like 3 glitches through my whole playthrough. I gotta give it to props to Naughty Guys in that regard. Alright. Who's that? Talking a lot. Alright, while the gameplay, graphics, settings, and tone and atmosphere feels remarkable, it's poorly written. Plot is rushed, like I said before, bland characters, and a forced political agenda. In the game's existence sometimes feels questionable, and the pacing is horrific. And all that prevents The Last of Us from being a milestone in gaming. My rating is a 7 out of 10. Originally it was going to be a 6, however its gameplay and polish saved it for me. And I don't hate the game, like I said. Not to mention, it feels like a $60 game. Do I recommend that you buy it? Yes, of course, you could bet your ass. But is it Game of the Year material? Hell fucking no. So, I'm off for now, and I hope I see you on the next stream or videos. See you around.